Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks.
What up? This is Tone Talks in the building. Having a great discussion today. Looking forward to having a good discussion. What up, y'all on YouTube? We coming in. This is Dash Radio, Radio. Voice of Reason is the station if you want to listen to it on Dash Radio app. We're going to be having a good discussion today. We're going to change it up a little bit. Last few weeks, we've been talking more of a politics kind of discussion. This week, we're going to talk more love. I want to have a good discussion. I hope everybody enjoys it. I'm going to have a special guest today. I'm going to have none other than Zoe Williams in the building in a second, relationship expert. Pick up his books, Relationship Dismount. Pick up his books. All of them are available on Amazon and his CDs, and I'll give him a chance to talk about those at the end. So I haven't had one of these discussions in months. These discussions about love and where we're at and how Black America needs to really start looking at the things I'm talking about in terms of wealth and politics and what it means on an intimate level. We can't help but move forward without looking at what the reality of our situation is. What up, Zoe? I appreciate you making the time to actually come in. I already introduced that you're going to be a guest on the show. Again, the title of the show is Black Love, Finding a Way Through the American Dream. And so there's been some new information I've been finding on different sites and things. There's been new data as I've connected things. Shout out to Killer Mike. You know, he was on the stage with T.I. and David Banner said a lot about how me and Yvette Cornell and the Adolphs family that are listening right now led to the reparations discussion at the presidential level. But inside of all of that is a discussion about economics in a way that we have never seen in American history, partially because we didn't have the data until the mid-90s. But that's a long time ago. So the other part is there's been a failure in the area of race and economics that I'm trying to actually connect with the whole concepts that Zoe has with relationships and show you guys not why you're wrong, but why it's so difficult. Because maybe if you understand why it's so difficult, you can start adjusting your behavior. Maybe not. But we're going to have the discussion today. I gave, there's a couple of charts that's going to be in the final version. You know how we do this. Everybody use the super chat, support this channel. When I say the super chat, I'm talking about YouTube. There's about 200-300 people in the box now. I expect, about 2,000 people and then millions listen on Dash Radio, Voice of Reason app. So we do this by questions. And essentially, if you have any issues with the sound, please just go to the Dash Radio app and you can listen to it on the Voice of Reason. But for me, what I see in a lot of ways is we ain't been honest with ourselves. We've been talking around a lot of stuff. We ain't really understand how much stuff costs. Everybody thinks that they understand wealth, but when I ask them about wealth, they ain't got the numbers. There's only 4 questions today. I'm gonna give y'all a chance to drop in. Let me set it up. What is Black love, and is it grounded in a real understanding of race and the cost of the American dream? Y'all know I've done framed this thing. Top 20% of America, you need to have about 600,000. To be in that top 10%, you need to be worth about $1.5 million as a family. We only, as Black folks, have about 340,000 families out of 20 million that break a single $1 million. That's not even top 10. But all of us gonna be movie producers. We all gonna be lawyers and doctors. Let's talk today, because what I want to explain to you is how you don't really see that we not talking about reparations for me. We talking about reparations for you and for us. See, I'm gonna lay out the data when I come back up to number 1 so we can get a clarity in a more specific way. But number 2 is, why is wealth still seen through the lens of maleness? There's this new article that came out. It's a very interesting article, really good for white men. I don't understand what it means for Black men that aren't connected to white oppression and white legacy wealth. But it says fewer people are getting married, because there's a shortage of economically stable single men. Why isn't it just because they don't have the economics? Because wealth and maleness are tied together with whiteness, but don't nobody want to say that. Let's talk today. See, we having a discussion in a way that ain't nobody else having it. Number 3, is there a gender biased toxicity being trafficked on by black targeted media for quick hits? Madame Noir, Ebony, Essence, people that don't seem to traffic on data. There's an article I'm gonna go over of some woman from Africa. Now, we wouldn't let no Latino or no Asian write about Adolf's life, but she gets to write about us as though she understands what's going on with us and be all wrong. To me, it's bordering on racism. But we gonna talk about that article and give it context because it's not just her. Number 4, why are poor blacks, come on, this is Brookings done said this, Brookings Institute, why are poor blacks the most optimistic poor people in the country? They the poorest people, but they the most optimistic poor people in the country. And I'm gonna connect that to the data I'm about to lay out for y'all. So Zoe, I'm gonna let you say hello to the audience.
How you guys doing today? I'm finally back on Tone Talks. Thank you guys. Thank you for having me, Tone.
You welcome, man. Look, one of the things that I'm gonna put in this final chart is I put this on Twitter. Just keep listening if you have an issue with the sound. In the final version, I'm gonna put the Dash Radio audio, and you'll be able to re-listen. It'll be smooth. Just let's get through the show. What I'm seeing in a lot of ways is that black folk don't know that they black in America. Yeah, you kind of know. Yeah, you think you know. But when I lay out the realities of data, what you actually see is that wealth spread depends on how much wealth you have. White America, we know, has $100 trillion. There's 100%, each percent is worth $1 trillion. Black America, on the other hand, is worth $3 trillion. 14% built America, got the biggest dreams in America, and we worth $3 trillion. But what the problem is isn't even told by that. Come on, Zoe. This is the issue. When you look at the spread of wealth among white folks, the top 10% of their race has 75% of the wealth, of their wealth. That's $75 trillion. The bottom 90 now has 25 trillion, right? But what you actually see is that because each percent is $1 trillion, even after you get past the bottom 90, they still got trillions they splitting. It might not be enough to be rich, but it's enough to actually have a family. So the top 10% of white folks have 75 trillion. The next 10%, the 80th to the 90th, have about 11 trillion. Then the rest of them are still splitting 15 trillion, $14 trillion. Let's talk about Black America. I'm gonna read it. I'm actually gonna read it because I don't want to mess it up, Zoe. Let me read it. Understand that 8 million white families in their top 10% are splitting $75 trillion in total household wealth, while the 18 million black families, let me explain that. There's 20 million black families. The top 10% have 75% of our wealth. They have 75% of our wealth, primarily boomers, 2 million families. After you get past that group, that 2.25 trillion that they holding, the rest of the group has $780 billion or something. But the 80th to the 90th percentile black folks have half of that. And these are all primarily like boomers. Retirees, pensions, is some little entertainers in there, but it's primarily retirees. After you get past the 80th percentile, it's like a cliff. There's no wealth. But what I'm saying to you is understand this point from what I just told you. 8 million, because there's 83 million white homes, about 8 million are in the top 10. 8 million white families in their top 10% are splitting $75 trillion in household worth, while the 18 million black families in our bottom 90% are altogether only splitting $775 billion. But we all gonna be movie producers. And part of what I wanted to get into now, and I'm gonna kick it to Zoe after I make this point. I hear a lot of people saying their kid is gonna be a physician, a lawyer, a movie producer, a journalist. But those are the dreams that go with being in that top 10%. Those are the dreams that go with being worth $1.6 million. Those are the dreams that go with the ability to pay the $40,000 that they asking for at the university cash. What I'm seeing right now is black love, black marriage. It ain't looking at how much stuff costs. So then when the stuff gets tough, when things get real rough, we then start counting. But we counting based on a lack of understanding of wealth and building it all on fantastical ways that we gonna touch an American dream that we don't have access to. Zoe, give me your take on it. Come on.
Well, money is the master of meaning in our current intimate relationships. And I say that to say, if you don't have money, most of your relationships don't have meaning. And it's a hurtful realization when you look at it that way. When I talk to couples, you know, a lot of them are fearful. A lot of them have gone through things and they have these coping mechanisms that they want you to date. And one of those coping mechanisms is the fear of dating somebody broke, is the fear of dating somebody who can't support you financially. A lot of the expectations that I hear from professional women is he's got to make equal to or more than me. Well, that's the inverse of the Rich Paul rule.
Come on.
Now, see, the NCAA understood only 16% of the African-American male population actually have bachelor's degrees. So they understood if we make a stipulation that says you need a bachelor's degree in order to be an agent, that would disproportionately affect black men in America. Well, a lot of professional sisters, I call them socially blind, don't know the numbers for where we are. So their expectation of us to do what they do, to reach their level in this society, which isn't a high level.
Come on.
Let's just that's not a high level that they're on, but it's a higher level than us. So then that causes them to create an expectation. It's an unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in. But at the end of the day, if we don't find true meaning for our relationships, with money, without money, we're going to be disappointed. We're going to be disjointed, disaggregate, fragmented, broken up, no cooperation, no support. That's what it's going to wind up being.
Come on, man. Zoe done laid up the fire. What I'm sort of seeing is that we don't understand what $75 trillion buys you. See, it's 1.4, 1.5 and above. We don't understand what that buys you. And I said 8 million families. When you say you want your kid, when you say you want yourself to become something elite, that means you got to knock somebody out of that box that's in that box already.
Competition, yes.
With no money, though.
Right.
In a slavery background.
Right.
Don't none of that make no sense. Especially if you don't want to do nothing about policy and affirmative action and access points.
Right.
I'm seeing that we don't understand what love costs in America. So we damn sure can't understand what black love costs in America. Because black love is more expensive than regular love. See, this is the point I'm telling to you. I'm talking to you right now. A lot of y'all are taking care of a lot of things that you can't take care of. See, I'm not just talking religious right now. I'm talking on a structural level. See, I have this concept of you ever seen a seesaw, Zoe?
Yeah.
A seesaw got two sides and then it got a middle. See, what I'm saying to you is that your children are on one side. Your parents and your grandparents is on the other side. And you the swing generation with student debt, telling your kids you're going to send them to college, telling your grandma that you're going to buy her house or you're going to take care of her long-term care, and then telling yourself you're going to do it all because you're going to start a business in an America that don't need no more business. See, I want to have the discussion because I feel like in a lot of ways, black folks in America don't understand how far away the black love is from the American dream. Bar few. And I'm not guessing because I just gave you the numbers. The middle black family in Boston is worth $8. The middle black family in Miami is worth $11. Liquid. This is liquid wealth. Middle black family. This is the Color of Wealth report. You can go look it up yourself. All these cities. The middle black family in LA is worth $200 liquid. This is our truth. So if y'all think that y'all finna do this thing, this American dream at a level that competes with, let's just say, the top 20% of white folks, because the 20% is 600,000.
Right.
It's just 600.
Right.
16 million white families worth $600,000 and above to $1 billion. I'm asking the question: how did we get here? Where you ever seen somebody go in the refrigerator, pull out nothing, and try to make a sandwich?
Yeah, I've been there.
I don't think when I say nothing, I mean the bag is empty. I don't think we have that logic when it comes to these dreams. Mm-hmm. See, I think when you reach in the refrigerator and there ain't no bread, you know you got to go to the store. And you know you got to buy something at the store. What we doing here is we just projecting like we got the bread, the meat, the cheese, the lettuce, the tomato, the mayonnaise. But in actuality, all we got is the stomach. And so I'm trying to have this conversation because black folks in this country ain't ready for me. I'm coming to you because when I look at the deciles, when I look at the reality of what those deciles mean, we not looking at it from a prospect of understanding that bar few, and I'm talking about retirees, we largely are a group that is wealthless. Anything you want to add before I move to question 2?
I would just push back on one thing. You're calling it black love. You said black love is expensive. I would say, no, black love is free.
Come on.
Black relationships are expensive. You see?
Yeah.
And that was the only pushback that I had, but I totally agree with everything that you're saying. And again, if we had love as slaves, how is it that it's impossible for us to have love today?
Can you give us a little bit more on that nuance of relationship versus love?
Well, to relate, relationships is the ability to relate, to commune with one another. Not just communicate, but to commune. There's a union there. There's a recognition of sameness. There is a reflective process going on, a spiritually reflective process where I'm getting some kind of curriculum about myself by dealing with you, by attracting you, by interacting with you. Again, relationships have totally been stripped of their spiritual component in favor of their societal position. Again, if you're married to somebody, this is a business now. The family becomes a business. We have to plan for college. We have to plan for schools. We have to, you understand, we have to provide all of the necessary resources that these children need. So now the family becomes a business, and we might not like each other. We might not appreciate each other. We might not listen to each other, but we're obligated to take care of each other within the family business construct. But what people are failing to realize and capitalize on is the spiritual component of relationship that reveals the things you have yet to embrace about yourself. The things you modeled from your toxic family, the thing you modeled from your toxic upbringing. A lot of times, man, this stuff is revealed in your relationships. And if you don't deal with them, now what? You might have all those things. You may have all the accoutrement. You may have all the cars, all the bank accounts, all the homes. But guess what? You don't have understanding of yourself.
Come on.
You don't have understanding of your partner. You don't have a grasp of what love actually means.
So look, you know, we in a space now where we're in the middle of the presidential debates. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody talking about no black agenda. Ain't nobody talking about reparations. Mm-hmm. HR 40 is not reparations.
Right.
You know, to me, as I said before, let's make it real. I don't have no problem. Let's do it. I'll tell you right now how to fix HR 40. One fix. Make it so at execution you release $500 billion to $1 trillion, because we know it's going to come in anywhere from 6-7 trillion to like, $15 trillion.
Right.
Just release 500 billion to $1 trillion at execution. That's a real bill.
Right.
To ADOS though, to ADOS people, not to just general black people.
Right.
I don't think everybody's ready for the fact that don't nobody want to have that discussion. And without that discussion, you can't have the American dream. See, that's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you from the other side of going to UCLA and becoming a lawyer and being in rooms that have people like Byron Allen in them. I'm telling you that the American dream costs money. And I'm saying to you today that when you look at the color wealth in LA, there's a reason that the middle Indian family is worth $500,000. 500,000.
Be quiet.
The middle West African family is worth 160,000.
Right.
60, 70,000 of it liquid. But the native black family is worth $200 liquid and telling their child that Bill Gates is your magic to get you through.
Right.
That we gonna wait on Bill Gates, a super capitalist. None of that is how it works, baby. Some of y'all got 16-year-olds and they need real money tomorrow. Right. And I'm telling you today, as we have this discussion, that part of what I'm having is a discussion about how black relationship can run into black love and leave us without the ability to connect because things cost so much money and we put so much pressure on ourselves. Again, I call us the swing generation. We promising our babies that we can make them financially white. Let's just call it what it is. And we promising our mama that we gonna take care of the long-term care that she should have been saving for the whole time she been living.
Right.
You can't promise none of that.
Right.
And you damn sure can't do that by telling yourself that some mate is gonna make that happen. Let's swing to question number 2. Why is wealth still seen through the lens of maleness, post-feminism? I say that because we see in articles a discussion of black female payday, even though that doesn't make sense when you know the data. I think it's always against white males. So then it should just be, I guess, I don't know what it is. Because if it's against white males, see, you got to understand first thing that white people live in households. 75% marriage rate. So it's not about how the male makes, it's about their household. So a white woman, I think, is 72 cents on the dollar to a white male, and they make that's $1.72 house. Whereas with black women, you guys are making, I think it was 63 cents on the dollar of white men. But so are black men when you add in an incarcerated. In fact, they might be at 62 cents, a cent below.
Right.
But they don't usually include incarcerated, which means that there's no black female payday. They're just black payday. See, and I'm saying this because it connects right to this article, this study that actually came out, and the article based on it. Fewer people are getting married because there's a shortage of economically stable single men. Let me read a little bit to you, though. A new study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family may have one explanation as to why there aren't enough economically attractive men. That's what they call them.
Economically attractive.
Ones with good income and a stable job. I would argue that they also are talking about familial wealth tied to that. Because in and of itself, that alone with bad credit don't mean much. Let me continue. In the study, researchers examined couples in heterosexual marriages from 08 to 12 and 13 to 17, compiling character profiles of the husbands. When they analyzed the pool of available men for these economically attractive traits that demographically similar single women might look for, there was a shortage of potential matches. Economic stability is a key to a stable family life, to getting married, staying married, and marrying well. Well, then does that explain why our divorce rate is almost 75% and their marriage rate is 75%? Now, I asked the question, Zoe, post-feminism, why are we still seeing this through maleness if we both equal?
Again, first off, feminism isn't about equality, or it would be called equality. It's about feminism, and that's fine. Some of the stuff is solid, but when you get into ideas, it is conceptual thinking that keeps men separate, that keeps men and women separate. The moment you enroll in a belief like that, you have to now defend that belief. So in taking up a defensive posture, you're now looking for the patriarchy everywhere. Now, I'm going to come back and tell you again, you're breaking down what is necessary for us to get to the purpose of relationship. we can't even get to the purpose of relationship because of the trauma that comes along with poverty. We have to be business people. We got to be hustlers. We got to be go-getters. We got to be toxically ambitious in order to be considered a good mate, because poverty is such a part of our relating that's what makes us attractive now.
Come on.
See, you got people that are so indifferent towards the spiritual aspect of relationship. That's only because poverty is such a real thing. You can have money as a black person and it be taken away from you later on. You know what I'm saying? Like, not knowing how to manage it.
No. Yvette just did a show on Medicaid, how they be setting it up and just stripping the house.
Do you see what I'm saying?
It's all built to go back to the system. See, and let me finish. Let me read a little more from the study. A new study says that one explanation for the decline in marriage in the U.S. is the short supply of economically stable partners for unmarried women to marry. That's good for white folks. That ain't the reason in Black America. The reason black folks ain't getting married is because we don't have no wealth and we've been tied to slavery and they didn't give us our reparations and they didn't make us whole. It don't got nothing to do with what they talking about.
Right.
And I'm saying to you today that this toxicity that we believe in is tied to our media. You see it in the questions. Let me open this up. Dash Radio, Voice of Reason station. Please, please, please use the Dash Radio app. Share it. We got almost 1,000 people in the box. Use the super chat 323-230-4610. I want to hear from you, the ladies especially.
It's happening, bro. It's happening in here. I love it.
Come on. Is there a gender biased toxicity being trafficked by black targeted media for quick hits? Again, 323-230-4610. I think it is. I saw an article that is an example. It's just one article, but there's a bunch of them. There's so many of them you can't even count. It's like, this is how you get trafficked. Either celebrity gossip or talking bad about how black men are failing. Black women can no longer afford to save broken black men. This is why I partially created ADOS. I don't understand how Ara Ilagabuchi got to write this article. You don't know nothing about what ADOS people are living like in their homes. And I feel like what's going on is that we wouldn't let a Latino or an Asian berate us, but this is berating us and bordering on racism, and it is okay to call this racism. When I read this article, it don't make no sense. Because what it shows is that she don't understand what ADOS means in America. She don't understand that 1 in 5 black men across this country, according to CNN, didn't even work all of 2016. Not unemployed. They didn't work in all of 2016. Let me take the first caller tonight. Caller, turn your background down. What's your name and where you calling from?
Oh, Cal. I'm calling from Southern California today.
All right, give me your take.
I just wanted to give you my take on it. I'm moving in on, I'm hitting big 5-0. Occasionally I have in my life, I'm a single black man, ADOS. I do not have any children and I have never been married. Occasionally I have had 6-figure incomes, but, I just won't, that's just not that next leap to, that next leap to making a family. I just can't. Seeing what has happened to us economically over the years, and especially coming from a family that did have a going business, I have not seen the way, and I still don't see the way to starting a family without, I need a certain number to be assured in my mind that I can have something to pass down, and I haven't seen it, so I haven't done it.
All right, man. Thank you so much for calling. I'm trying to get everybody in. Oh, man, this is the thing I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about numbers as though we close. So we gonna have to make a choice here. We gonna be nomadic. We gonna be living like with the stick with the little the satchel on the end, hobos. Or we gonna try to have families. And I don't know the answer. I'm not telling you I got the answer. I don't have children. Zoe has children. I don't. But I will tell you that to me, and I said this to Zoe, we got to stop promising that you can be a better daddy than your daddy. They didn't give you them tools in this era. And I'm not talking about it like structurally if he was abusive. I'm saying financially. This is an era of regression. You got to know when you live. Let me try another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, turn your background down. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Nicole calling from Florida.
Let me read this to you, and then you give me your take, and I'll let Zoe jump in. This same article from this woman on Madame Nowhere, she says, the truth is that black women have lived in a perpetual state of fear and fantasy with black men for a very long time. Black women have long carried an unyielding, sometimes unexplainable loyalty to black men, even when that loyalty has cost us our lives. And then she went into this whole tirade about like how many times black women are murdered and how they're hit. Even though I know that Tommy Curry is one of the leading academics in this area, has proved that most of our abuse is bidirectional.
Bidirectional.
So this don't even make sense what she writing. But nonetheless, what's your take on the toxicity in black media and how they use that to drum up like traffic?
It's sickening. I've changed the last couple of years. I've been that woman who made good money and felt like, hey, if he doesn't make this or if this person can't do that, I don't even want to talk. But this is how it is. I have friends who, when I talk to them, they feel this way. They're looking at it where black men have to have this and have to have that, and they don't realize, they don't know the data, they don't know the numbers, they don't know that that's not the norm. And for whatever reason, the public is coming out and speaking all of these negative things against black men, telling black women, it's like they're trying to push us away from black men. It's like, you guys, they want us not to touch you, not to deal with you. So we see these positive images of the happy black woman who went over and got her a white man, and oh, this person is with this, Serena is with this guy, and this person is with that person. So I don't know what to do. How do you fix it?
Yeah, man. Let me say this though, and I you know, Zoe got to step out and do something real quick. Let me say this. What I think is happening is that black America has made up a world where black women have wealth and black men don't, and it's just not true. Y'all got some jobs. The middle black family of two makes $35,000 a year. Of two. Across the country. So the idea that there's this professional class of black women in mass is a fantasy. But let me talk. I'm gonna come to some data and then I'm gonna throw it to Zoe. There was a study done by Duke, the Du Bois Cook Center. That's who I did my report with Sandy Darity. New report says typical single black woman with a college degree is $11,000 in debt. You got a job, but you're in debt. Typical.
Right.
Let me read it. Single black women in their 20s without a degree have zero wealth, and the typical single black woman with a college degree is $11,000 in debt. Married black women in their 30s and with college degrees are $20,000 in debt. So marriage actually has led to more debt, not less. One reason for the wealth gap among college-educated single women is that black women have the highest level of student debt and struggle to pay it off. So I come to you, Zoe, and I say, where is this confusion at? Because it sounds like black women think that they are privileged, and they talk about it like they're dragging black men, but it sounds like we all struggle with race.
Of course we all struggle with race, and we all struggle with the lack of wealth. But here's the real question, because nobody's really focused on this. How are you going to make a meaningful relationship with very limited resources?
Like, there's somebody in the chat talking. She said, when are we going to make black men take accountability? I don't understand what you're saying.
But this is what I'm talking about right now. Accountability for the system.
Yeah.
We can't take accountability for a system we're not in control of.
Let me explain this let me zoom out though. There are more black males incarcerated in America out of 20 million males than all the women are incarcerated on the planet. Felicity Huffman just got 14 days.
14 days.
Now, I'm not saying there aren't a few black women that got long sentences as well, but in this nation, there are almost 600 to 700,000 men behind bars. There's only about 40 or 50,000 black women behind bars. Far too many, I believe. But the reality is that we live in the same community and both do crimes. It's not we do 100 times more crimes. And so I'm saying this to say to you, the accountability is you understanding you live in a country called America that had slavery, then Jim Crow, then mass incarceration. I can't tell you that you got $11,000 in student debt too, and you just shut up.
And you just got to break up with the system's talking points too, because you sound like a representative or a PR person for the system that is clearly broken as it pertains to black folk. Now, back to that point. How do black people create sustainable, substantive relationships with no wealth? How do we do it? Because that's the real question.
Listen to this, though, both of y'all, and I'm going to come to you, caller. This is the same article by this woman, and this is the problem with just black, is you got a lot of people that are from West Africa that got two parents, come from wealth. It might even come from slave trading. Let's just talk about it. And what they're saying is we.
Mm-hmm.
Then they create, so at first they say we, then they say us black women. So now black ADOS women are standing with West African women and not standing with ADOS men that have been in slavery too. Don't make no sense. But listen to this stupidity. Black women can no longer afford to rescue wounded black men. Yes, some of us eventually pay with our lives, but these interactions have cost us so much more in the interim. There's nothing to support this. We don't have cultural. We're just as disenfranchised as our male counterparts, serving a parallel sentence in this country of our kidnapping.
Right.
Our kidnapping. If you not from how can somebody who possibly didn't come from slavery talk about kidnapping? None of this makes any sense. So what you see is a bunch of just garbage to basically create a market for themselves and in a sense destroying the very thing of community that we need to create black love and black community to move forward. Caller, anything you want to say about the article or the whole topic?
Okay, I think that's an example of COINTELPRO, how the black person that has been educated, they have this mentality. And the mentality is, well, you need to work harder. You need to do a better job. We can't keep helping you guys. And what happens is the women are not realizing that the system is allowing us to get the high-paying income jobs. You know what I mean?
Come on, sister.
And I promise you, I feel like sometimes I'm the only woman that feels this way, because the average chick thinks she wants a man to do this and wants a man to do that, but she don't really understand that he doesn't have it to do it. So how do we fix this? Well, the first thing, we got to break away from maybe digital, social media, because we're all looking at these fabulous lives and everybody's balling online, and this is what we are trying to do.
I agree
but
with
how
you.
do we do? But how are you going to do that? Like we really think that
I'll tell you how you do it. First thing you just got to understand. Look, on the final version, I'm going to pull up the BLS data. You get understand this. The sweet spot of black income across this country, not wealth, income. Wealth is nothing, zero almost. It's
right.
Zero. But income is like two people that make 35. That's the sweet spot. That's the middle. But when you hear a black woman say, I need a single man that makes more than six figures.
Look at that.
What they don't understand is, I'm looking at the BLS data. This is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We do data here, Tone Talks. We see that only probably like 4% of black people, two-person households make more than 100. Like 4%.
Wait, say that again.
So I'm looking at the data. I got
4%. Okay.
Like 4 or 5%.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
I have a tax company, and I know this. I do people taxes, and the women come in with these W-2s where they'll make like 40, and I'm in Florida, and the man will make like 16 with 2 or 3 different W-2s.
Yeah, so you just basically saying stuff that don't make no sense to make yourself feel safe in a world that ain't safe.
What did she say? Because I couldn't hear.
She said that she in Florida. The way the incomes come in is about matching the data. The woman might have a job at the government job or whatever, making 40, post office, and then the man is making like 16. Now understand this. I'll say this. Sometimes that 16 be his above board money. There be another little set of money that he do from a haircutting or whatever.
Right.
And so they household ain't that high. And I'm just coming to you because I think for a lot of us, we don't know the numbers and we just make up the world. And we talk about things as though it's different than the reality we live in. Caller, thank you so much for calling in. I want to give somebody else a chance to get in here. Let me ask you a question as we turn this corner. Brookings Institute did a study, and they said that black poor people are the most aspirational, optimistic of all poor people in the country. Now, what I know, looking at the data again, is that the bottom half, not even, see, when they're talking about poor, let me actually pull that out. You know, I don't like to guess. They talking about dirt poor. Mm-hmm. When I'm talking about poor, I'm talking about working poor. So right. The poor people I'm talking about is of the 20 million black families, I think like 14 million are poor. Like, that's my level. I'm talking about you really don't have no wealth. Month to month, you live month to month. At any given time, you might put $3,000 or $4,000 in your account, but that really is you student loaned up. So you got about $70,000 in student loan. You got your house mortgage. You got your kids. You ain't really got that $3,000, but it's in that account. You still poor. See, they not talking about that though. They talking about people. Let me read it. Poor blacks scored markedly higher than the average. Talking about optimism. Poor whites and poor Hispanics scored lower. As expected, meaning that's normal for you to be poor and understand I ain't got no chance.
Right.
But hip hop and basketball and my kid gonna be the next thing that's in the top 10% of America, then made us believe that we get the right to be optimistic without nothing in the bank account. But let's finish. Poverty is defined here as the bottom 4 income categories in the Gallup poll, corresponding roughly to the U.S. poverty line, around $20,000 in the household income. That's like nothing poor, and they still optimistic. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's wishful thinking because I come from, my mother was 16 when she had me as well.
What year? Give us the year.
1981. And I tell everybody this, well, like I have a good paying job and I help my mother out, my sister out, and I'm working poor because that mortgage coming, that car note coming, and I can't wait till I finish this car note payment, you know, and that's it. And I really can't wait to see what this black girl magic say about old girl only getting a month in jail.
14 days. She didn't get much. She got 14 days.
14 days. My fault. 14 days because,
half a month.
Truth be told, my mother did that too to take me out to the suburbs to have a better education.
Come on.
And it was just using the address to have a better education, but you spent $15,000 that we know of, your daughter out partying on a yacht. That's just terrible. I want to see what the black girl magic have to say about this.
Man, yeah, man. Look, we coming to the end. I just wanted to give you a chance to get in here. I appreciate you calling.
I appreciate it.
Zoe, what you think about this black optimism? I told you the data. We know that the top 10% of white America, which is the dream hoarders, that's what they call them, top 10% has 75 trillion of the wealth. To get just into that group, your ticket in and you still feel poor is 1.5 in worth, 1.6. I feel like a lot of black people, from talking about Harvard and UCLA to lawyers and doctors, are basically setting their kids up to have a lot of student debt, a lot of struggle, because they're projecting the dreams that come from achieving reparations that crack you into that group, meaning programs, meaning the Civil Rights Act of 1866, meaning trillions of dollars transferred without doing that work. And then saying, well, you go do what you got to do, baby. What you think, Zoe?
That creates our criminal class. See, that's what, listen, I'm going to restrict you in every way, shape, or form, at every strata of society. Listen, if you do that, you're going to create a criminal class. But you're also going to create a class of relationships that struggle too. Now, there are some people who can look beyond the poverty and look into each other's eyes and find true meaning and purpose. But that's rare. That's rare. We live in a capitalist society that creates opportunists, even in our relationships. We can't be ourselves. We can't be real people to each other because we're too busy evaluating how far up the ladder we've made it in order to feel comfortable enough to say, I'm going to go out on a date with you. Or you might be a good pick. Do you see? We don't even get to the source of why we relate to each other.
We have no, look, I did a chart. We've talked about it in maybe about 6 months ago, and Sandy Darity used it at the Federal Reserve in his presentation. I talked about the level of dreams.
Right.
You got ultra elite. That's Harvard Legacy Building.com startup. You got elite, UCLA community development, open restaurant. Oh, ultra elite is 6 million and above. Let me give you some numbers.
Right.
Elite is 1.2 million and above. And I think you got to have 5% in your group to actually be in that group. We don't have 5% in either one of those. We got less than nothing in the second group. We got barely none in the first group.
Right.
Good is 500,000 and above. That's University of Georgia paying off children's student loans, retirement. That's 500,000 in worth. Only 5% of black families are worth 350. So we not in that group either. We don't have 5%. And primarily the people that are in their group, their children are 40 now, not 20. Let's talk. Let's look. So where we start to see our black people show up are the boomer hooked. And that's a 110 or above, which I call average. But for black folks, that's black rich.
Rich.
I'm just saying to you what we see right now, black love finding its way through to the American dream in a world where the American dream requires you to have $700,000, $800,000. Just that's your ticket just to you know how like the Dallas Stadium got the high seats where you can see with your binoculars? That's 700,000.
Ooh.
That's 700,000. And what I'm saying to you right now is I'm not guessing when I say that. So somebody will say, what am I supposed to do if I don't have any money? You better figure it out fast. You better not bring that question to me because I don't have to figure that out. You do. And part of the way we're figuring it out right now is arguing with each other instead of arguing with the system. See, I'm the brother that brings up reparations and makes it a national discussion, as Killer Mike said. Bernie wasn't talking about it. Look, Killer Mike says this is somebody who knows and is in the room. They wasn't talking about it till this show.
Right.
Till Breaking Brown,
right.
Till ADOS. So I'm telling you that's the solution. The problem is that even if we get it passed, it's not going to get you no money tomorrow. And you done built a life where you need money tomorrow. And I'm coming to you because black love got to find a way. Black love in America has had major issues because it ain't been honest with itself. Black love has allowed black relationship to smother it with ideas of grandeur that we have not paid for politically. I'm here to have this discussion because I'm looking around and I'm seeing people promising they can take care of people before they took care of themselves. And I'm not just talking financially. See, for us to love somebody else, we got to love ourselves. And to love ourselves, we got to understand ourselves. And part of understanding yourself is to sit back and see what the world has done to you multi-generationally. I'm just having the discussion today. You want to say anything on that?
Man, that's there. That's right there. Then once you see it, you got to embrace it without judgment. You got to embrace what we've become without judgment. See, most relationships are no different than entertainment, and the purpose for entertainment is escapism. See, this poverty has led to, you've heard of white flight out of black neighborhoods?
Come on, Zoe, don't give it.
This is black flight out of black love into interracial relationships in order to escape blackness.
Come on.
The poverty that is inherently a part of blackness. Do you see? So there's a black flight going, not just a white flight, but a black flight going. We running away from each other because it's hard to love each other while we're broke. And nobody wants to have that real conversation.
This girl living the vegan life said, loving myself is having financial standards or some mess. It's like, okay, like I said before, you can have whatever standard you want. I want a man worth $1 million that makes $300,000 a year. Just know that you better have $1 million too. I'm just saying. Like,
where am I gonna get it?
Where she gonna get it? Where? Oh, she already got it. She already got it.
They got it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. All this nonsense. Let me take one last call. This person been calling in. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Ian from Atlanta.
Give me whatever you got in 1 minute.
I have 1 minute. I just want to let you know that because of our lack of wealth, the black woman is looking at the black man as a white supremacist because he's not sharing seemingly and the patriarchal power that he gets from being in a patriarchal society. And vice versa, the clash comes because he's looking at her that she's putting money over him as the master would do under the circumstances of slavery and Jim Crow. So that creates this this negative confrontation between the two.
That's powerful, brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. My only pushback would be I think that when you look at the incarceration numbers and then the unemployment numbers, I don't know how much access to patriarchy black men have.
Wow.
So look, we talking. I definitely want to at the end of the show give Zoe a chance to talk about his newest book and what made him write it. I did the foreword. I'm not gonna read you any. I've read it in past shows, but tell him about your most recent book.
The Holographic Relationship. It's a very powerful work. Tone Talk definitely killed it, started it off with an amazing forward. The book is a continuation of my 2015 book called The Relationship Dismount, How to Stick the Landing When Exiting a Toxic Relationship. Amazon.com has The Relationship Dismount, and The Holographic Relationship can be found on my website, IamZoeWilliams.com.
Yeah, man. You know, what I try to do with this show is that I try to bring discussions that challenge the boundaries. I'm not trying to break anyone down. I'm definitely trying to build the community up. But I think in many ways there's been a dishonesty about the state of the community.
Right.
I think for so many, you've never heard that black folks largely don't have wealth, let alone seeing it in deciles. In the final version, there'll be charts in here where you actually can see that. To understand that the top 10% or 8 million white families have $75 trillion in wealth. If you were to look at the top 20% of white families, the top basically 16 million white families in this country, they have about $86 trillion in wealth. Everything that you want to be, if you're talking about elite goals, comes out of having access to that wealth. But on the other side, black America has $3 trillion with almost 2.25 in the top 10%. So after that, it's basically no wealth at all.
It's a cliff, right?
But we just talking like we gonna pay for stuff. And then when it don't get paid for, we just scream at each other, blame each other, and get mad at each other and throw black love away instead of holding on to it harder.
Look at that.
I wanted to have this discussion. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Please support this channel and support Zoe Williams. Zoe Williams is on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Wednesdays is the Mansion Show. Mondays and Fridays is with the women. Comes on at about 6 o'clock, right? 6 o'clock Pacific. 5 o'clock Pacific.
5 o'clock. Yeah.
Comes on at 5 o'clock Pacific. 2 hours long. And it's powerful every week. We have those discussions. Pretty soon, Dash Radio is going to be changing over, and there's going to be a short hiatus. I'll still be coming to you on my Mevo, and we'll figure it out. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all next week, Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tone Talks. We out.
Great show.
Thank you for tuning in to Tone